Hey guys, welcome back. I want to talk for just a few minutes today about how to help someone who is struggling with anxiety or panic attacks. As someone who was sort of born with a hot running nervous system, I used to say I was born with an extra dose of adrenaline running through me. As someone who has tended toward an anxious nervous system, I think my whole life, I can tell you some of the things that have been the least helpful, as well as what has been the most helpful, like the things that have been game changers for me. And so I hope that if you are someone who doesn't have an anxious nervous system, it will help you better understand how to relate to and even how to be helpful to friends or family, children, spouses that struggle with some anxiety or panic. So, number one, I want to talk about this language barrier concept because if you don't have an anxious nervous system, it probably makes sense to you that you would speak logically and you would speak with common sense. And I can promise you that that is the worst thing to speak with logic and common sense. So when you're trying to articulate common sense, logical things to someone with an anxious nervous system, it's like you're speaking English and they only speak French, and you're saying words that make sense, like you need to go pick up the milk. And they're like, wait, what? Because they speak French. And you're like, you need to pick up the milk. It's simple, it's logical. Pick it up, go pick up the milk. And then not only are they not understanding, but now they're feeling like a little bit defeated and they're shutting down. And then you, because you don't have an anxious nervous system, are like frustrated, like, go pick up the milk. And at this point, the person you're speaking English, they're speaking French. They still don't understand your words. They've completely collapsed because your go pick up the milk is now being heard as you're an idiot. You're bad. You're wrong. You're broken. And I know this sounds ridiculous to someone who really is just using common sense and logic, but an anxious nervous system does not speak that language. There is a language barrier between an anxious nervous system and common sense and logic. So when you're trying to fix or help by using these logical things, it doesn't compute. And if anything, it's received as, what's wrong with you? You're so broken. You should be so ashamed of yourself. And that shame just shuts down the person and it grows that anxious nervous system. So honestly, the least helpful thing is trying to use reason and logic. Trust me, if someone has an anxious nervous system, their brain already fully knows their life is small. They're not doing things other normal people are doing. They get it, they see it, their brain sees it. But we're dealing with a nervous system here, and that's a whole different system that speaks a whole different language. So if you have someone in your life that is anxious, that has this anxious nervous system or a panicky nervous system, we really need to start opening the lines of communication at the level of the nervous system, which is not logic and reason. So bear with me as we go a little bit further because I want to eventually get to what does help. The other thing that does not help at all, it's something that I think generations of our culture have been doing for so long. We have taken these things as truth, and it's bullshit. It's unhelpful. It's like the biggest bullshit ever, and it's all over TikTok and Instagram, and it's everywhere. And that is hacks and tricks to distract yourself from anxiety and panic. Everything from, chewing ice, having candy and gum nearby to distract you from the feeling of anxiety. Like our culture is inundated with tricks to distract you from an anxious feeling, an anxious sensation, or a panicky sensation. We have to stop that. As a culture, we have to stop because every time we're giving someone a trick to not feel, we're helping them confirm to their nervous system, this feeling is dangerous. This feeling is wrong and bad, and we need to shield ourselves from it. We need to build a layer of armor around it. That is not helpful. That might offer a little dose of relief, a little short-term freedom, but it literally solidifies the belief in the nervous system. I'm not okay. I'm not okay as I am, and having these feelings is bad, wrong, and dangerous. No, they're not bad, they're not wrong, and they're not dangerous. So, number three, we want to start helping people just in general, but definitely people with anxious nervous systems see that this long-standing, generations long bent toward avoiding discomfort is not helpful. Discomfort, uncomfortable sensations, uncomfortable feelings, uncomfortable emotions are not bad. They're uncomfortable, but they're where the growth happens. It's where we learn to trust ourselves. It's where people who have anxious nervous systems can actually begin to remember that they are their own safety. A cup of ice is not their safety. A person riding along or walking along is not their safety. No, we need baby steps, like gentle, compassionate, such kind baby steps. But to be helpful, we want to first of all just offer our presence. Like that's actually enough. No advice. Someone with an anxious nervous system doesn't need your advice. They don't need that. They need your presence. Like, I'm here for you. I actually see your awesomeness beyond just a nervous system doing funny tricks. I see you. You're great. You're totally cool exactly as you are. I'm not going to push you to white knuckle anything and go face your greatest fear. I'm just going to be here right now as presence. I'm just going to see you for who and what you are. So that goes further than anything. The second thing that goes a long way is for you, the person that doesn't have the anxious nervous system, to really, really yourself start opening to this notion that uncomfortable feelings, sensations, and emotions are not only normal, fine, and safe, but they're where really miraculous, awesome growth happens in the discomfort. So we don't want to make the goal ever. We don't want to make the goal to not have fear. We don't want to make the goal to go do something and see if you can do it without feeling something. We're feeling beings. We're designed to feel even really intense things. So if you, as the person without an anxious nervous system, can begin seeing that for yourself, all feelings, emotions, and physiological sensations are safe, even the ones that are the most intense and the most uncomfortable. They're safe. They don't mean anything bad is about to happen. They're just uncomfortable. And then the mind, of course, because we have generations of our culture that has taught us, holy shit, this is bad, get out of it, distract, get out of the situation. Well, that's what our mind is going to keep saying. And that's what their mind is saying. So again, if you, the person without the anxious nervous system, can just be fully present, see someone in a full-blown panic attack and be like, yeah, we're cool. This is cool. They can be shaking. Their voice can be shaking. Their arms can be shaking, their hands. And you're just present like, yeah, this is normal. Oh, you have an anxious nervous system. Look at that. Cool. Cool. We really want to start normalizing all feelings, all sensations, even the most panicky ones. Like if you're one that doesn't have panic or an anxious nervous system, then you can go a long way in helping by just being like, oh, yeah, cool. Oh, yeah, their voice is shaking. Look at that. Whatever. Oh, look, their hands are shaking. Oh, look, their heart's racing. They're sweating. Huh. So we want to start not only normalizing, but also helping people who have anxious nervous systems see that no matter what the discomfort is, they're safe, they're normal, and the best stuff, the best growth is happening in those sensations, in those emotions, in those feelings. Now, the stories will do what the stories do, and they say all kinds of crazy stuff because that's what minds do, especially minds in the midst of a panic attack. It's going to say scary stuff. That's what fear does. It says scary stuff. But if you can be with that person, be fully present with that person, present to that person, like, hey, I got you. You got yourself. We're good. Like, let's go do the thing. Bring anxiety along. You will help that person begin to see themselves as their own safety. You will help them begin to grow that container of trust, that circle of trust, one little kind, compassionate baby step at a time. Like, oh, see, the goal isn't to do this thing and not have anxiety. What if the goal is to let that circle of trust begin to grow, to allow yourself to actually do some small baby steps and bring the anxiety with you, bring the sensations, bring the feelings and emotions. They're not what we've been taught, this crazy upside down bullshit way of looking at anxiety and panic is something we need to avoid, something we need to distract from. No, we don't want to confirm that story of unsafety anymore. We don't want to confirm that story of shame and guilt and bad and wrong anymore. Collectively, let's turn this world right side up when it comes to anxious nervous systems. And it can begin with you if you do not have an anxious nervous system. It can begin with you by letting your own self feel whatever it is. If you don't have an anxious nervous system, maybe you have a fear about something or a sadness, an anger, a rage. We want to start actually growing our capacity, allowing our circle of trust to grow around these things. That's where the true freedom and peace lie. If you're helping someone, if you're in a helping profession, especially, I hope you hear this. We no longer want to try to use logic and reason because it will be received as shame. It will be received as I'm not good enough. We want to offer kindness and compassion. And then we ourselves want to really understand that the discomfort, the uncomfortable feelings and sensations are where we grow. So let's start really growing that circle of trust. It's kind of magical. It's kind of cool. Let's all do this together. We can really make a difference. Thanks, guys.